From sleeping on cardboard in the streets of Manila to becoming one of the greatest champions boxing has ever seen, Manny Pacquiao lived a story that felt impossible. He fought his way from extreme poverty to global fame, captured world titles across 8 weight classes, earned hundreds of millions, and became a source of pride for the Philippines. But outside the ring, a different kind of fight was waiting. Legal troubles, financial strain, political losses, broken relationships, and personal struggles slowly began tearing apart the empire he spent decades building. This is the rise and fall of a man whose fists could conquer opponents, but not every battle life put in front of him. There are levels to poverty most people will never truly understand. Not the kind that forces small sacrifices or tighter budgets, but the kind that changes how a person sees the world forever. The kind where hunger becomes normal. The kind where survival matters more than dreams. Manny Pacquiao, born Emmanuel Dapadran Pacquiao on December 17, 1978, came into the world in Kibawe, Bukidnon, on the island of Mindanao in the Philippines. He was one of 6 children in a family fighting to survive each day. Their situation became so desperate that his father reportedly killed the family dog because there was nothing else left to eat. Mindanao was far removed from the glamorous image many associated with the Philippines. While Manila represented opportunity and wealth for some, large parts of Mindanao were trapped in extreme hardship. Families that were not concerned with luxury or comfort. Their biggest worry was whether there would be food on the table before the day ended. Things became even worse when Manny was still young. His parents separated after his father became involved with another woman. Suddenly, his mother, Dionysia, was left alone to care for 6 children with almost no resources. There was no government assistance waiting to rescue them. No safety programs, no financial support. Every single day became a fight to stay alive. As a child, Manny worked wherever he could. He sold bread on the streets, collected recyclable scraps to earn tiny amounts of money, and took any job that could help feed his family. Childhood disappeared quickly because poverty did not allow him the freedom to simply be a kid. Eventually, the pressure became too much. Staying in school was no longer realistic when the family needed income just to survive. Manny dropped out during 6th grade, sacrificing education in exchange for survival. There was no backup plan and no promise things would improve. The only goal was making it through another day. At just 12 years old, Manny made a life-changing decision. With almost nothing to his name and very few opportunities ahead of him, he left home to chase boxing. He moved to General Santos City and stayed with his uncle, Sado Mejia, inside a modest 1-story house. Mejia had no professional coaching background, but he became the first person to train the future boxing legend. The conditions were rough. There were no elite gyms, expensive trainers, or advanced equipment. Everything was basic, raw, and built on determination alone. But even in those difficult surroundings, something special was beginning to emerge. The skinny boy who once sold bread to survive was slowly turning into a fighter the world would one day fear. There were no luxury training facilities waiting for Manny Pacquiao in those early years. No elite coaching staff, no advanced recovery programs, and no specialists guiding his career. What existed instead was a crude training setup, old gloves held together through wear and tear, and a dream that looked completely unrealistic to almost everyone around him. Even so, his talent quickly began attracting attention. By the age of 15, Pacquiao had already built a reputation as one of the most dangerous young fighters in the Philippines. He regularly fought in public parks around General Santos, where boxing matches were chaotic and unforgiving. These were not polished amateur contests with strict regulations. Crowds surrounded the ring, placing bets, while fighters battled for whatever money spectators decided to toss their way afterward. Those harsh environments shaped the style that would later make Pacquiao famous worldwide. He developed non-stop pressure, explosive combinations, incredible speed, and a fearless mentality that refused to retreat no matter how intense the punishment became. But Manny understood there was only so far he could go in General Santos. If he wanted a real future, he needed to reach Manila. So, as a teenager, he secretly boarded a ship headed toward the capital city, taking a massive risk without any guarantees waiting for him on the other side. This was not some carefully planned move backed by money or connections. It was the desperate leap of a young boy betting everything on hope. Manila represented opportunity, but it also destroyed countless people chasing impossible dreams. When Manny finally arrived, reality hit hard. He had nowhere to live. He slept on flattened cardboard laid across sidewalks and hidden corners of the city. Streets became home. Building entrances became protection from the rain. To survive, he sold donuts to workers and commuters in the mornings for tiny amounts of cash. He cleaned local boxing gyms, sweeping floors and washing equipment just so trainers would allow him to practice. Every single day became a balancing act between survival and ambition. At only 14 years old, Pacquiao was living in Manila with almost nothing. He worked construction jobs, struggled to afford meals, and constantly faced heartbreaking choices. Sometimes he had to decide whether to spend his money feeding himself or send it back home so his mother could eat instead. There were days he chose his family over his own hunger. That was the reality behind Manny Pacquiao's rise. Before the fame, the championships, and the fortune, there was sacrifice on a level most people could never imagine. Then came the turning point. At just 16 years old, Pacquiao officially entered professional boxing. In January of 1995, he made his debut as a junior flyweight against Edmund Ignacio. Manny earned a decision victory, collecting a payday that might have seemed tiny by international standards, but to him, it felt life-changing. It was more money than he had ever seen at one time. Still, success did not arrive overnight. The road ahead remained uncertain and dangerous. But Manny kept winning, kept improving, and kept pushing forward with the same desperation that had carried him off the streets. Then, in 1998, everything changed forever. Only 3 years after turning professional, Pacquiao captured the WBC Flyweight Championship by defeating reigning title holder Chachai Sasakal. Barely old enough to leave his teenage years behind, Manny had already become a world champion. For the Philippines, the victory was enormous. A young man who once slept on cardboard in Manila had now reached the top of the boxing world, and the country suddenly realized it was witnessing the birth of a national icon. The story captured the imagination of the entire Philippines. A former street kid, a boy who left school because his family could not survive otherwise, was now standing on the world stage holding a championship belt. For millions of Filipinos struggling through poverty themselves, Manny Pacquiao became living proof that impossible dreams could still come true. But success can be dangerous, especially for someone driven by desperation. The same hunger that pushed Pacquiao to greatness also made him reckless inside the ring. Early in his career, he fought with non-stop aggression and little concern for defense, believing sheer willpower could overcome anything placed in front of him. Then reality struck hard. In 1996, Manny faced Rustico Torrecampo, a fighter who was not viewed as a major threat heading into the bout. Torrecampo was not known for devastating knockout power, and most expected Pacquiao to continue climbing without serious trouble. Instead, the fight became one of the first painful wake-up calls of Manny's career. After landing several clean shots throughout the contest, Torrecampo caught Pacquiao and knocked him out just 30 seconds into the third round. It marked the first professional defeat of Manny's life. For many fighters, a loss is simply part of the sport. For Pacquiao, it felt far bigger than that. Boxing was not just his passion. It was his escape route from poverty. He had no college education, no backup career, and no safety net waiting for him if the dream collapsed. Losing inside the ring threatened everything he had sacrificed to build. He came back stronger. Manny rebuilt his momentum by putting together an incredible 15-fight winning streak. During that stretch, his confidence returned, his skills sharpened, and his reputation began spreading rapidly across the boxing world. It was also during this run that he defeated Chachai Sasakal to capture the WBC Flyweight Championship, officially announcing himself as one of the sport's rising stars. Suddenly, promoters were paying close attention. Media outlets across the Philippines celebrated him as a national hero in the making. Fans saw a fearless young fighter willing to attack relentlessly no matter who stood across from him. Everything appeared to be falling into place. Then came another devastating setback. In 1999, Pacquiao defended his title against Medgone Singsarat, an undefeated fighter carrying a perfect record into the matchup. Both men were young, hungry champions trying to prove they belonged among boxing's elite. The fight was supposed to strengthen Manny's reign and confirm him as the dominant force in the division. Instead, disaster struck again. For the second time in his career, Pacquiao was stopped in the third round. The loss cost him his world title less than a year after he had worked so hard to earn it. Once again, the young fighter who had climbed from the streets found himself staring directly at failure, wondering if everything he built could disappear just as quickly as it arrived. What made the defeat even more shocking was how dominant Pacquiao looked early in the fight. He controlled the opening rounds with relentless attacks, overwhelming his opponent with speed, pressure, and non-stop punches. Then suddenly, everything collapsed again. A troubling pattern had started to emerge. Manny often began fights like a storm, breaking opponents down with pure aggression. But somehow, the third round kept becoming a nightmare. One perfectly timed punch could erase everything in an instant. One mistake could leave him flat on the canvas with his championship gone. For most young fighters, suffering 2 knockout defeats before the age of 22 would completely destroy their future. Careers have ended for far less, but Manny Pacquiao was built differently. Instead of fading away, he adapted. He recovered. And then he made a bold decision that would eventually change boxing history forever. He moved up in weight. For most fighters, even climbing one division is considered dangerous. Power changes. Opponents become naturally bigger and stronger. Many champions refuse to take that risk at all. Pacquiao did the unthinkable. He kept moving higher and continued winning. Then he moved up again and won again and again. Soon the boxing world realized it was witnessing something extraordinary. No matter the division, no matter the opponent, Manny somehow continued finding ways to dominate. Titles kept stacking up. Different weight classes came and went, but the results barely changed. Over the course of an incredible 25-year career, Pacquiao transformed himself into one of the most accomplished fighters the sport had ever seen. He became the only boxer in history to win world championships across 8 different weight divisions. He also captured lineal championships in 5 separate divisions and eventually earned another historic distinction by winning world titles across 4 different decades. Achievements like that sound almost unreal. By 2015, Pacquiao's pay-per-view events had reportedly generated more than $1 billion in revenue. Just think about how unbelievable that transformation truly was. This was once a boy who slept on sidewalks and worried about where his next meal would come from. A child who sometimes starved so his family could eat. Now, his fights were producing numbers usually reserved for global entertainment empires. The rise bordered on unimaginable, and it was not built against weak competition either. Pacquiao battled and defeated some of the biggest names of his era, taking victories over legendary champions and elite opponents throughout multiple divisions. He defeated world champions again and again, building a resume that turned him from a Filipino icon into an international boxing phenomenon.